So we're going to call the Committee of Whole Council meeting for Monday, March 3rd to order. Welcome everyone and start with the acknowledgement of peace of treaties of peace and friendship. We would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq peoples. This territory is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship, which Wolastoqiyik, Mi'kmaq, and Passamaquoddy peoples first signed with the British Crown in 1726. The treaties did not deal with surrender of lands and resources, but in fact recognized Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqiyik title and established the rules for what was to be an ongoing relationship between nations. Thank you. Walawan. Next is the oath of office. We do hereby accept the office of council and will diligently, faithfully, and impartially discharge to the best of our ability the duties of the office as may be imposed upon us by law. Next is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have any changes to the agenda? If not, can I get a mover?
Yeah, I got it. Okay. M 2025-0304-23, that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Okay, I believe it's 22. Can I get a seconder?
I'll second.
We've got a seconder. On the question, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Any statements of conflict of interest, please register with the clerk. We have no presentations, petitions, or delegations. Any business? We'll move to council. Councilor Burke.
So I have two items. The first one concerning snow removal. I am looking for, let's say, input from council to maybe direct our CAO as to what he should do or shouldn't do, that type of thing. So I'll begin with a couple of problems. Number one, we have a business that's located on the corner of Jacket River Drive and Main Street that pushes its snow onto village property. And here just last week, I happened to go by there when I see our blower and our truck and our employees shoveling this snow that had probably reached, I'm going to say 6-7 feet high anyway. And I guess we're obligated to move the snow because it's on the sidewalk. But at the end of the day, there is a bylaw in place to guide against such things already. With that said, I don't know if the right word is disturbs me, but it's an issue that we have other businesses in our community that clean their snow properly. You can go by any of them. There's no big snow banks out in front of their businesses and everything like that the village is expected to move. With that said, I'm looking to say, how do we deal with this issue? As I mentioned before, there's already a bylaw in place. People shoveling their driveways can't put it on the road and so on, that type of thing. When I see village employees on private property cleaning snow that a business actually put on village property, using village equipment to load it on village trucks, I have an issue with that, especially when no other business is doing that. So, I'm kind of looking, how does council feel? For me personally, I'm going to state right up front that one of two solutions is that comes to mind. If the business continues to push the snow on public property that we need to move it, then at the end of the day, they should be billed for that labor done. Or that the village of Beldoon executes its powers in making it stop. That's where I sit. So I'm looking for guidance. For me personally, I would say CAO Lee to basically take the direction of council as it comes forward here tonight.
Council?
Well, we need to address it, absolutely. I'm thinking that maybe sending a letter from the village to the business, make sure that they're following all the rules and regulations in that bylaw. If they're not being compliant, then they will end up, something will happen that they will end up getting a fine or however it's followed through. But I think a letter first before any action.
I agree. A letter should be maybe sent to the business, advising them that it's an issue. That's, it's difficult. There's only so much room to put the snow, and when we get dumped on, it's certainly, everybody's looking to get rid of their snow. But yeah, send a letter and see where that goes from there. And
Anyone else? Do we have a directive?
So would we consider that a directive to our CAO that a letter should be sent to the business to see where it goes from there? So are we good with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll draft a letter and I'll send it out to council to review before we put it out. I have talked to Public Works on this. This has been raised previously. The snow that so I was unaware that the private property owner would be moving his snow onto municipal property to do it, or getting rid of it. But in talking to Public Works, they did acknowledge that in this area, it's a rather unsafe spot. What they used to do is they used to scoop it with a tractor and carry it across the street or take it to another spot. And there was too many near misses. There was complaints from DTI. It's a difficult, especially when we get a lot of snow in that area. So I'm completely on board with Councillor Burke. I don't want. We'll try to avoid at all costs having our assets on public property or on private property. In this particular instance, what they did try doing most recently was pulling the snow from the curbs and the walkways and moving it effectively into the driveway of the business, which is still sort of a municipal zone. So then they would scoop it from there. But I'm totally on board with sending a letter. I would suggest that rather than billing back, you're kind of almost putting yourself in a position where you're almost acting like a contractor, right? If you're doing that, which is something we can't do. My suggestion would be sending a letter and going right to the bylaw and leaning on bylaw enforcement to follow through with that.
Okay, just to take part B of the snow removal. If anyone has driven by Station 1, which is the Jacket River Fire Hall, there is a mound. I'm very pleased to see that it is snow we blow, but by the same token, it's blown along where the flagpoles are on, if you're facing the fire hall, it's on the right-hand side. That snowbank, the snowbanks there have to be a minimum of 10 feet high. There is no way that a fire truck coming out of that station will be seen by a car coming down the road. He would be invisible. With that said, I guess it comes down to we have village property that has snowbanks that must be removed, as far as I'm concerned. And again, I'm looking for council's input to have the CAO Lee know exactly what he needs to do to rectify the problem, or if council wishes to have the problem rectified. But if you've gone by the Jacket River Fire Hall, we have from a personal point of view, a major, major obstruction with that snowbank.
I agree. If it's a safety issue, it needs to be addressed, especially at a fire hall. Okay, so if CAO Lee can address that, that would be wonderful.
when it comes to safety is a priority. Any of these roads, any of these side roads or the fire department, we need to see when we're coming out. So when it all comes to safety, it's a priority. So I think maybe, that's what we need. We need to look after it when the storms, we get maybe a couple of bad storms in winter now. So we're having good winters, but yeah, I think to make sure that the bank at the fire hall is brought down, and also going back to the Jack River Drive. Again, it's a safety issue. If it becomes between safety and having our guys doing it, I think that it'd be safer maybe to our guys to do it. But to me, either way, we need to leave the owner know.
Just, are you moving on to the next?
I want to be sure that CAO Lee is clear on where we're going, so that, I know sometimes we leave things that kind of hanging, so I want to be sure that you're clear as to what we need to do.
Go ahead. Well, before, yeah, no, you deal with that and then I'll follow.
Yeah, no, so I'll touch base with Public Works. I need to double check the contract on that. I believe that we're doing the snow removal, but there might be a contractor, so I'll have to refer back on who's doing Station 1. So whether it's the contractor or whether it's us, I'll provide an update to council tomorrow on next steps.
Before you move on, Councilor Burke, I just wanted to add something snow plow related, snow removal related. So there was a directive, I believe, in December about contacting DTI to see if we could have a sort of a liaison type committee to meet quarterly. And I'm just wondering if there's contact has been made and what the response was.
I'll follow up with DTI. They have provided us with rather generic guidelines on what it is that they do, and they have sort of couch that in a way that they would like for it to remain with administration and not be dispersed to the public. It was information that we got that I felt was very good for the public to know. So there really hasn't been progress made on getting together with them. I'll follow up with our reps down in Bathurst on DTI and check out their availability. We've had a lot of difficulty with them in Beldoon the last couple of weeks, especially with the snowfalls. Yeah, it's a good opportunity for us to follow up. We have been in contact over the complaints that we received, so it's a good segue for us to go back to them and reopen that.
I would follow up. I would say if DTI is not going to be involved in that conversation, if they're not going to, if there's some pushback from DTI, then I think we need to go to the Department of Transportation and say, we're not accepting not having a liaison committee because this issue is too important, I think, at the local level to accept that answer. And I think if the Department of Transportation were to send down a directive to local DTIs that this is important to the village, important to council, and that they should be taking part and encouraging them to taking part, I think we're almost at that point where if DTI is not going to be cooperative on this, then we need to go to a higher level. So just, yeah.
And just to reinforce that, I agree. I think that you're at the point right now where dealing on the local level is going to be difficult. You might want to take a step up. So yeah, I'll get some information together for council on that.
Councilor Burke?
The next item I have has to do with our, I guess, our dog control and the SPCA. We had a little conversation on it at our public meeting last week. You know, again, I'm looking for guidance from council so that our CAO is clear as to what council wishes to do with this. But for me, as I mentioned at that meeting last week, the province of New Brunswick has a animal controlled enforcement officer living right in the village of Beldoon. So what I would like to propose is that CAO Lee approach the province to find out what their cost is so that we can compare it to what we're presently paying. And I know that our bylaw would need to be changed if council so chose to go in that direction. But with that said, you know, I know the SPCA contract we have right now is eligible to be terminated by either party in writing within 90 days. But you know, I'm not saying I want this done in 90 days. What I'm saying is, you know, even if I said it's short notice for CAO Lee with his agenda that he has already on file, to say, you know, if that was brought to, let's say, the committee of the whole meeting in April or May, I'd be fine with that. But at least I would. You know, but with that said, I'm interested to know what the cost, what the province of New Brunswick would charge Beldoon if we chose to use the provincial enforcement, and you know, where we're going to go with that. So again, I'm just looking, is council in favor of that type of information, or not.
This individual that you're speaking about, Ron, are they working out of this village for different municipalities, or they just live here?
They cover the area. They're like in a territory. So this individual covers a territory in northern New Brunswick. I don't want to speak for her, but I'm going to say it's basically Shippagan all the way up to, I think it's just past Camelton and just past the Miramichi, basically all the upper northern part of New Brunswick. She has the power to let's say issue warrants and everything along that line, and she has gone to court with I don't know how many, but she has the power to have that the individual who is not complying to the regulations set down by the province as far as animal control is concerned. She has the power to issue arrest warrants and the power to go to court. So with that said, that is certainly, in my opinion, a much bigger deterrent as far as animal control is concerned for our village than what SPCA offers. But by the same token, you know, as I say, for me, I look at it and I say, in you know, the 20 years that I've looked at what the SPCA has to offer, and I don't know if they've been here that long, but it's certainly been 10 or 15 years. I know myself, I have never heard one complimentary word ever about the SPCA and what they do for the $10,000 that we pay them. So for me, I'd much rather see someone who has the power, someone who has the ability, and someone who can actually back up if there are regulations being broken. So again, all I'm looking for is to say, have CAO Lee contact the province and the people that we need to know to see what this would cost the village of Beldoon. I mean, it's the old story. Might come back and say, well, that's $25,000. Well, right off the bat, we know where we're going, right? But the other side of the coin is if it were $10,000, we would be getting 10 times the service for the same amount of money. So that's where I'm going with that. So that's why I'm interested to see what this costs and what needs to be done and the regulations that need to be looked at. And if we need to change our bylaw, which I know we would. But with that said, it comes down to that, as I mentioned, I understand CAO Lee has a tremendous amount of stuff on his plate. But, you know, along the line, if in the next few months that he could come back with a report to council and say, you know, I've checked into this and this is what it costs and this is where we can go or whatever. And that information can be taken up with council once we have that information.
So this individual, I'm just curious, why would the government not be involved with the SPCA? Like, I'm just trying to figure out why there's two different entities here. So I'm just wondering.
Well, maybe the alternative might be to say, once we know what a cost would be, to invite that individual in to give us a presentation. You know, I mean, you know, like I say, I'm not looking at saying getting this done in the next 2 days. I mean, you know, if in 2025 we're staying the way we are, that's fine, but it gives us an option for 2026, you know, that type of thing. So that's where I'm going.
I'm thinking that we should start to meet up with the SPCA. I went to their meeting last year. They have a yearly meeting, and I was there, and they did say that if we want to meet up with them for more information, because it's a nonprofit organization, right? The money that we give them is to help the animals and so on. But I think we should start by meeting with the SPCA, the local SPCA, and see what there is, because I know that the bylaw enforcer, it's hard to get somebody to court because there's so much to be lined up, and it's not as easy to say, okay, we're going to go to court. They need witnesses and so on that's wants to step up to go to court. So that's a thing that it's a lot more complicated than just going to court and giving out warnings and so on. So I think we should start by meeting with the SPCA, and I think we've asked for that, and then see what they have to say, and maybe we can get our help right there. And if that doesn't go anywhere, then let's go to the provincial enforcement and see what they can offer us. That's just my opinion on it. But let's talk to the SPCA and finally meet with them, because this has been going on now for a while.
Just a question. I have a question. So the person that you mentioned, they don't answer to anyone, or do you know of anyone in the provincial government, provincial department that they would answer to? It sort of speaks to Marilyn's question, but it's just in a different way.
I could get that information for CAO Lee and pass it on.
Yeah, trying to see if there's a department that we can sort of funnel maybe some of this through to. Anyone else?
Is there any other? Okay.
Yeah, so that would be perfect for on my side. So if we can be put in contact, I know in the dealings with the SPCA, and I know that I've put this out to council, but just to sort of reiterate where that is. So everything is sort of with them right now. We have asked, we've suggested that they come in and meet with council already. There was information for a revised contract that they were looking to get over to us, and they haven't put that together just yet. But they did, in the conversations we had with them. I mean, the Restigouche SPCA is not the only option that that's out there, right? In the conversations I was having with them, there's also the NB SPCA. So I don't know if this individual might have an affiliation there, or if it's completely separate. But I don't mind to connect with Councillor Burke on the side after this and get the information and reach out. And if it's just simply a pricing thing, it doesn't hurt for council to have that information. When they're going into contract talks, either through SPCA or the individual. So, but yeah, no. Just to reiterate what Ron was saying, there are definitely other entities that have the ability to do enforcement for us.
Just a general, if I may, if there are no other council members who wish to speak, I'm gonna completely disagree with Councillor Carmichael's comment about talking to the SPCA. We have talked to them till we've been blue in the face. And at the end of the day, the SPCA has not complied. They have never been, let's say, open or have ever showed their face here. So with that said, all the more reason for us, and like I say, I'm not looking at changing it. I'm looking to know the information first, because I have no doubt in my mind if we were to ask the SPCA to come here now, we'd wait till the cows come home. They'd be here sooner than the SPCA would. But, with that said, I guess we have a difference of opinion, and I have no problem with that. But the other side of the coin is the majority of council in favor of moving the information forward so that we have at least the information available. And that's what I'm looking for. I want to make sure that CAO Lee has a clear picture as to what council's desires are. And that's where I'm going with that.
And I'll just add one thing too, and then you can finish it up. Councillor Burke, it's your item. But I think this was brought up in the fall, I believe. And at that time, I was given to a bit of patience myself in a sense that I thought maybe it was a little bit too soon to be a bit more aggressive in this case. But I think now over the last couple of months, especially with the number of complaints that we've had, I think it's time to get a little bit more aggressive on this. And so whatever it takes to do that, I think it's really important right now that we start not just asking for information and asking for results, but demanding them. I think we're at that point. So does anyone have anything else? Councillor Berg, do you want to finish that? It's your item.
No, as I say, again, if there is no objection from council, then I have stated my case as to what information I'm looking for CAO Lee in no particular time frame. I don't want it to take priority over other pressing issues. That's why, sometime along a reasonable amount of time, when you have the time, bring it forward to council and we'll deal with it then.
Okay, so with that, I guess that completes business of council. Anything from administration? We have nothing from administration. So that would mean we're to the adjournment motion, -23.
Just one comment to that, if I may, Your Worship, prior to adjournment, just so that the public is clear. We have a clerk treasurer who's out at the moment, but we do have an acting clerk, and I just want to be sure that everybody recognizes that you must have a clerk to have a legitimate meeting. So our acting clerk is here.
Okay, thank you. With that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
M 2025-03-03-23, that the meeting is adjourned at 7:26.
Need a mover or a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the motion, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Meeting adjourned.